May is Military Appreciation Month, and on behalf of 7-Eleven's Veteran Outreach Organization, we are honored to salute those who made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. Today, we're at Fort Myer in Arlington, Virginia, and we're having a sit-down conversation with Colonel Patrick Roddy, the commander of the Old Guard. Colonel Roddy, this is such a treat to come here and to see you. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
I want to talk about the Old Guard, and for those who may not be familiar, what can you tell us about the responsibilities of this unit?
So it really is a unique unit. It is the oldest regiment in the Army, older than the Constitution itself. Elements of this unit have fought in every conflict that the United States has been involved in since the Revolutionary War. And we've been stationed here in D.C. since about 1946. Coming out of World War II, we were struck as a nation, really as an Army, by the fact that so many people had such little contact with the Army. This was before television, definitely before social media, and the Army decided that not only did we need an element in Washington, D.C. for the defense of our nation's capital, but we needed an element in an organization that could connect with the American people so that they could see and have an opportunity to interact with real soldiers. And we still kind of do a lot of that today. Our primary responsibilities, first and foremost every day, is we have the solemn responsibility to honor our fallen and execute memorial affairs and funerals in Arlington National Cemetery. And that's upwards of about 100 funerals a week during the high season. In addition to that, we do a lot of ceremonial outreach events, both for senior government officials, foreign dignitaries. We're there to represent our Army to the nation and the world. We do a lot of other outreach, a lot of performances, a lot of opportunity to interact with people around the nation and around the country. And we have some really iconic, one-of-a-kind units like the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier that many people who, if they've visited D.C., it's kind of on the must-do list, and they get to see those soldiers down there, which are members of the Old Guard.
Tomb Guards undergo a strict selection process and intensive training. Can you explain?
Sure. So the tomb in and of itself is a fascinating national shrine. This year celebrates the 100th anniversary of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. On Veterans Day in 1921, they interred the first unknown soldier for World War I in recognition of all of those who gave their lives in World War I. Subsequent to that, unknowns were interred from both World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. And today, Arlington National Cemetery, with really the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, is one of the crown jewels of that national cemetery, serves in recognition of the over 100,000 unknown soldiers who gave their lives without having the opportunity to be identified. For over 84 years, the Tomb Sentinels have maintained a constant 24-hour-a-day vigil over the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. At 3 o'clock in the morning on a random Sunday, they're out there with the same precision and dedication as they are at 2 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon in front of thousands of people from the public, because it's ultimately about rendering honors as a nation to those who gave that sacrifice. The first step in becoming a Tomb Sentinel is they have to volunteer. There's no limitations on what job you do in the military, where you come from, or any background required. Just you to raise your right hand and say, it's something that I would like to do. They go through a multi-week selection process to ensure that they bring the right skills, both mental skills, physical skills, the ability to execute the precision and the manual that is necessary to do the job correctly. And not everybody makes it. There's a significant dropout rate. But those that are selected go through a rigorous process to ensure, training process to ensure that they really are masters of the trade before we put them on the mat in front of the public and in honor of the unknown soldiers. The hours that they walk on that mat, those are long hours. It is many times birthdays that they've missed anniversaries, holidays that they're not there with their family, but it's all in recognition and honor of the unknowns and all of the unknowns, and to do it in a public way that creates that connection between the American public and that tremendous amount of sacrifice. Those sentinels really are the connective tissue between the past and the present. And it's important in what they do, and it's an honor to have an opportunity to serve alongside them.
Okay, how did you feel when you were selected to be commander of the Old Guard?
So, Literally one of my first memories in life was when I was 5 years old and my dad was in the Army and I was stationed here on Fort Myer. We had a glass front door and I can remember standing at that window watching the horses of the U.S. Army caisson platoon trot by every morning. What 5-year-old doesn't want an opportunity to look out their front door and see those majestic horses and those soldiers riding on the back of those horses go by every morning? My mom would tell me that I would run to that door every morning just to see them go by. I didn't have any context for what they did, what the mission was, but it was the first real memory I had in life. So fast forward 40 years later, to find out that I had the opportunity to come here and command that unit really was a tremendous honor. Throughout my career, I've had opportunities to observe the Old Guard, to see what they do, be a part of their ceremonies, see not only their commitment to mission, but the effect that they have both on the public and on the Department of Defense, and it was just truly an honor to come here. So to answer your question in short, it was a big smile on my face when I knew I had the opportunity to come here.
That's amazing. I had not seen that piece of your story. How cool and how neat and how proud you made your dad too, I'm sure. I want to talk a little bit about May being Military Appreciation Month, certainly culminating with Memorial Day. Is there anything significant that you could tell others that they could do to honor this special time?
That's a great question. So one of the unique aspects of serving here is our proximity to Arlington National Cemetery and the mission that we have in Arlington National Cemetery. And I think if you talk to almost any member of the Old Guard, past or present, they'll tell you that they came here with an understanding generally of what people have sacrificed in service of this nation, but you leave here with a much more deep understanding of that and your connection with the mission. To walk through Arlington National Cemetery is to see that the history of that cemetery is the history of our nation. There are tremendous amounts of people who have committed service to our nation, both in uniform and out of uniform. And serving here provides you a better understanding of that. And what I would tell people to think about on Memorial Day is maybe you knew someone who served, maybe you knew someone who sacrificed in your family or in your community. I would just challenge you to learn a little bit more about that. For every headstone in Arlington National Cemetery, there is a story. There's a story that brought them into service, there is a story that took them through life, or there's a story that carried on in death. And just a little bit of time and effort to understand some of those stories that are closer to you and your life a little bit better will always add a little bit more meaning, I think, of what Memorial Day means to all of us.
What does Memorial Day mean to you as a soldier and as an American?
So I've been doing this for almost 22 years. And included within that is multiple combat deployments. And unfortunately, I've lost people that I know, people that I'm close to, and people that have served under my command. And each one of those individuals has a story that brought them there, and each of them has a story that is connected to their sacrifice. I can't go through Memorial Day without thinking about those soldiers, without thinking about them, about thinking about their families and thinking about the commitment that brought them into uniform, the love of nation that brought them into uniform, the love of their community that brought them into uniform, and that they gave the ultimate sacrifice for that.
7-Eleven has a long history of supporting veterans and military families through focused hiring initiatives and dedicated franchise incentives. I want to hear from you a little bit why you believe private sector programs like this are so valuable.
So I think they're valuable for a couple reasons, and because I think it serves both very, very well. So on one hand, so those that come in the military, they learn a lot of great skills, discipline. They really learn how to operate as an effective member of a team. But when they transition out of the military, it really behooves the private sector to help them with that transition. Because I think that there's a lot of private industry out there that wants veterans, wants the skills that they bring. But that's that connection. How do you connect the veteran with the job? Because I think you get a high quality product, but how do you facilitate them finding that job? How do you facilitate the organizations out there that aren't used to hiring veterans to communicate to them the value you get in having a veteran? And how do you show the veterans where they have opportunities to excel? Many people that come in the Army, it's their first real full-time job that they've ever had. When they depart the service and they integrate back into the broader economy, oftentimes it's the first time they've really looked for a job. And that is an interesting paradigm where you have these really qualified people who aren't that experienced in knowing how to look on where to find a job. And then you've got corporations out there like 7-Eleven who recognize the value within the veterans and then can be able to reach and make that connection. I think it benefits everyone all around.
Is there a goal that you'd still like to accomplish? Because thus far it seems like you've had a very decorated life. What's next for you? Is there something else you'd like to achieve?
So it's an interesting question, right? When I was just talking about this morning is that every goal that I had set for myself when I had entered in the military, it has already been accomplished and passed at this point. Everything at this point, frankly, is above and beyond what I ever thought was an option when I joined the military. So I'm just happy and proud each day to be able to put on the uniform and do this job and command this great regiment. And then what's after this in the Army, the beauty about it is, it doesn't matter where I go, it doesn't matter what I do. As long as I'm wearing this uniform, it'll provide me an opportunity to make a difference in the lives of soldiers. It'll provide me to do something that's beneficial to the military and the Army. And as long as that is still fun, it's something that I'm going to continue to do.
What do you like to do? What's something you might be surprised to learn about you, Colonel? Do you have some fun activities or special sports that you do? I'd like to know something that you like to do in your very spare time.
So
maybe you play the harmonica, maybe there's...
I wish I was musically skilled. So they still won't even let me play the drums out in the fife and drum corps out there because I'm not that skilled at it. I do like endurance sports in my off time, triathlons. DC's not the best place to be able to do that, frankly, but it is still something I like to train for on my own. I'm kind of a movie buff as well too. So
very good.
Yeah.
I bet this past year you watched a lot of movies.
So yeah, I think I watched my entire way through Netflix this past year. So.
Very good. We'll have to look at your playlist to see if you have any good recommendations. What advice would you give the next generation of servicemen and service women?
That's great question. So we like sometimes in the Army when we think back about when we came in, and it's a different generation. Like literally, it's an entire generation. I've got soldiers now that serve in this regiment that were born after I joined the Army. Let me tell you what, that doesn't make you feel good when you realize you're that old. But each generation that I've seen throughout my service is different, and each one brings its own unique skills to bear. The things that our Army is good at today are different things than it was 20 years ago. And they're the things that we need it to be. I often look at some of these young soldiers and say, well, they are way better than I was when I was their age. And what I would say is to the next generation, those that are thinking about serving, those that are thinking about joining the military, look into it, explore it, learn about it. There are a variety, over 100 different occupational specialties within the military. It's almost like it's its own little world. If you can think of something that you want to do and interest you, there is probably an operational specialty in the military that allow you to do that and explore that. And whether you're in the military for 3 years or whether you make it a career, completing a successful tour of service in the military only opens doors for you on the backside. So I have soldiers from all over the country, every background you could imagine. They come into the military for a variety of different reasons. And when they get out, some of them go back home, some of them go to different locations, but all of them have the benefit of having increased options and increased opportunities as a function of having worn this uniform.
Very good. Colonel Roddy, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for your service on behalf of 7-Eleven. This has been really special to recognize Memorial Day in this way, so thank you.
Thank you, and thanks for the commitment that you have both for our veterans and those in recognizing on Memorial Day. We appreciate it. Service in the military, we're your Army, and we're here to protect the nation. We're here to serve the nation, but it's a team effort, and we can't do what we do without the support of organizations like yours, and we appreciate it every day.